Well, we could be just days away from the redefinition of marriage. This is the CitizenLink Report. Hi, I'm Kim Trobee. Well, the Supreme Court is set to rule on marriage by the end of this month. If the justices find a constitutional right to same-sex marriage, what will that mean for Christian businesses, ministries, nonprofits, and individuals? Well, today I'm joined by Tom Minnery, he's president of CitizenLink, and by Paul Weber, our vice president of strategy. And as you may have heard, Paul is going to be taking over the helm from Tom in October as our new president. It's good to have both of you here today.
Well, thank you very much, Kim.
Well, Tom, tell me this. What would a decision to redefine one man, one woman marriage mean for our country?
Well, what it would mean is that on the Supreme Court, of the 9 justices, a bare majority of 5 of them would impose same-sex marriage as the definition of marriage across the entire country, despite the fact that most people would say, no, I still believe in God's definition of marriage.
Well, there are 4 states that are actually involved in these 2 cases that are before the Supreme Court. But a decision to redefine marriage would really have an effect on states across the nation.
You're exactly right, Kim. That decision would have a rippling effect across all of America that we would be rebounding from for years.
And what would we do then to stand for religious freedom or take a stand for that?
Well, that is the good news. With our nearly 40 state-based family policy councils, we're already poised to advance legislation that creates space for Christian speech to take place. In other words, our state family policy councils are ready and poised to advance legislation that will enable Christians to live out their faith in the public square.
Now, Tom, how can we continue to stand for God's timeless design for marriage, even if it appears that we have lost the fight?
Well, I don't think we will ever lose this fight. It's always going to be a struggle. For one thing, Christian people, those who believe in God's definition of marriage, first of all, have a duty to be sure that their own marriages are strong and they teach God's design to their children and their grandchildren. Secondly, Kim, this reminds me of, if we get the decision that we expect to get, it will remind me of 1973 when the court issued the Roe v. Wade decision, which kicked the legs out of every pro-life law in the country. And people were shocked then, as they will likely be shocked soon when the court issues the ruling that we expect on marriage. But in the days after Roe v. Wade, in the months after Roe v. Wade, in the years after Roe v. Wade, and in the decades after Roe v. Wade, people began chewing away at that decision, gradually restoring the idea that unborn human life is sacred and fully human. And more, that's becoming the majority belief in the country. And I think eventually we will get there on this issue as well.
Yeah, I agree with Tom, Kim. I think the good news, too, is that we're better poised now as a movement than we were back in 1973, with groups working together in unity to advance religious freedom for believers and to also educate the culture on the value that marriage brings to society.
One of the ways that the pro-life movement has moved things forward is from a grassroots level, at the state level.
Yes.
We have an alliance of family policy councils that would be able to advance legislation from that level on this issue.
That's exactly right, and in fact they already are. Many of the state family policy councils, with our work in coordination, are advancing religious liberty legislation, advancing legislation to help Christian parents raise their children the way that they should be, train up a child in the way that he should go, allowing those parents to raise their children in schools and school environments and private schools, etc. So that work is already in place, and those states are already poised for action on that work.
It's so good to have both of you here. Looking forward to what the future brings for CitizenLink. Tom, before we go, tell everyone what you're going to be doing now in a new role here for us.
Well, first of all, I'm stepping back from working here full time, probably 3 days a week, but it's on a project that's brand new here. It's called the Statesman Academy, and what that will be is a conference repeated for people who are new into legislative arenas, people who are newly elected legislators, new politicians. And the purpose is to teach Christian people who are elected to politics what politics is all about, and how you can make gains within the limits, but how you work gradually toward your principles and stay in the game without getting angry, without getting frustrated. And we hope to knit the people in these conferences together as a community of believers who will encourage each other to help them stay in the game, so to speak, for the long term.
And what I particularly love about this program that Tom's will be leading is it's working side by side with the states and also identifying these statesmen, men and women who are going to engage in state-based politics with the support of the local state-based policy council. Those things work together to advance a culture which is eventually going to reclaim marriage, reclaim life, and stand for religious freedom, not only now, but for our children and grandchildren.
We know you're going to spend more time with your grandchildren, but you will be missed around here full time.
Absolutely.
Say that. And Paul, good to have you on board.
I'm
We're
honored
excited
to be
about
here.
the
It's
future.
big shoes to fill, but I'm so pleased that Tom is going to be working with me to mentor the young guy and to launch our Statesman Academy.
Well, thank you both. And we appreciate our viewers so much. Thanks for taking time to send us your thoughts and encouragement. We would love to hear more from you. And you can mail your comments to mail@citizenlink.com. And also, if you'd like to send a note of encouragement to Tom Minnery, you may do so at that same address. That's mail@citizenlink.com. Please continue to pray for our Supreme Court and for the justices as they work on this all-important decision on marriage. And remember, stand tall and be heard.